Sounds good.
I will count us down. Wait, before I do, lads, what number episode is it today?
39.
Sorry, Mo, what was that?
38.
No, it's not 38, bro.
Peter's cheating.
Yeah, so
Peter is cheating.
No, Peter, how many are we on without checking?
At least Mo tried.
we're going on to 39. This is our 39.
At least Mohammed tried. Peter.
I said 39 at the start.
Huh?
I said 39 at the start.
Well, yeah, but
You said 39 at the start.
I said 39 and then you lot played some mind trick on me, so I said 38.
I asked you to say it again and then you changed your answer.
Yeah, because the way you said it was you're wrong.
No, I was asking you to repeat yourself, but I didn't hear
I
it.
knew it was 39. I thought
Peter was piping up, so I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, Peter don't know what episode this is.
Whatever, man.
All right, cool. Mohammed,
Right.
well done. Peter,
Hey, man, I tried, bro. I'm part of this podcast.
slap yourself.
Whatever, man.
What's going on, world? Welcome to episode 39 of the Rhymes Like Dimes podcast with your boys Peter,
Yo.
Mohammed,
Yep.
and myself, Yemi. And today we're joined by a very special guest, a contemporary in the podcast game, and the host of one of the best rap podcasts around right now, along with having a unique concept of debating which classic 90s rap albums are the best. They've also interviewed everybody from Pharoah Monch and Master Ace to Just Blaze and Jerobi White. And we're very happy to welcome to the podcast Kambi Thandi, host of the Crate 808 podcast.
Oh, big up, man. Big up. Look at that intro, bro.
Come on,
I don't know about that, but yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, thank you, bro. And it's been a long time, Yemi, man. We've been trying to hook this up for a minute, innit?
It's been a long time coming. We featured a couple of times on your podcast, so it was only right that you came through, man. Thank you for coming down, man. We appreciate it.
Nah, man, I'm honoured. Honestly, really fan of the pod. Just fan of your work generally. So let's go, man. I'm here for this ride. I hear this ride in your episodes. You boys going at it. So I'm here with some popcorn. I'm gonna settle in. Right, let's go.
You're gonna be a witness to the madness. It's crazy.
That's it, man. That's it. But no, seriously, man. Big up. I appreciate it. I love this community, so it's quite nice that we can do this stuff and jump on and just chat about rap. And you know what I mean? Like you should be doing. So yeah, man.
Yeah,
Wicked.
for sure, man. We're part of a massive community, so big up all the other podcasts that are involved as well. We're all doing great things, and hopefully it continues, man.
For sure, man. For sure.
But yeah, man. So just gonna get straight into it. Like, how's everybody's week been, Peter?
It's been cool, man. I ain't really been up to much, just the usual.
Shock.
The usual, just working. And that's it, man. Nothing else, bro. Gymming here and there, and that's it.
Gymming, yeah?
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to be invited to a talk by Diaspora Darling, so big up them.
Big ups.
In the beauty industry, so that was really insightful. That was probably the highlight of my week.
Mohammed, how was your week?
It was a week. It was a week. It moved. We move on. I worked, came home. I worked, I came home. Like, I wish I had an entertaining story to tell you guys. Like, oh my dick. Like, I was ripping and running. I wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, generally, like, I just worked. I came, you might know that.
Well, you're not a Beyblade, so you're not ripping.
I mean, oh shit, shout out to Beyblades, fan. There was one dragon I was in that was wavy. But nah, I didn't really do much, man. I was just chilling, to be honest with you, man, really.
Yeah, my week has been cool. It's just been busy. Busy with work, writing. I'm just pretty much the same, to be honest. I went to the Dice for Darlings talk as well. But other than that, I haven't really done much, to be honest. I just stay at home these days. Like, there's nothing to do past 10 o'clock. Like, restaurants aren't even open. You know what I'm saying? I was at my sister's house on Tuesday, and I'd left just before 10. And I tried to go to the local KFC, but I just missed it. And then I got back to Ends, and obviously nowhere was open. So I just had to buy some milk and eat cereal.
Pissed.
But,
that sounds great.
Very much so. To be honest, I wasn't that pissed because cereal at night is kind of banging. But
what cereal?
It was cornflakes.
Without sugar?
No.
Who has cornflakes without sugar?
What kind of monster?
Bro, listen, I just had to ask the question, man. It's Yemi, isn't it?
No, that's backwards.
You just never know with Yemi. You just never know. So I had to ask.
What kind of monster eats cornflakes without sugar?
Yeah, how about for you?
Who eats cornflakes, first and foremost?
To be fair, you could just have Frosties. And
Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying, man.
But the thing with Frosties is, depending on which ones you buy, whether it's Kellogg's Frosties or like store Frosties, they're not that sweet anymore. They're not that coated in the sugar anymore.
Kellogg's Frosties are nice.
I don't think so, man. They're kind of dry now.
I'm what you call a cereal connoisseur, fam. Frosty, yeah, because I eat cereal. I had cereal yesterday at night.
Frosties, yeah.
If I tell you, you're gonna look at me like I'm an animal.
Go on.
I mix cornflakes with Rice Krispies.
No, do you know what? I understand the idea. No, fam, I understand the idea, but not with cornflakes though.
Bro,
with Frosties, I'll do
nah,
that.
you know why though? Because Frosties already has sugar, so you can't add sugar on top of your. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but Rice Krispies don't have sugar.
That's my point. But then you can't add sugar to your Rice Krispies because Frost, it's just gonna throw it off balance.
That's the whole point, though.
If you get cornflakes,
you don't need to add sugar.
No, but if you get cornflakes and you add Rice Krispies, you can add sugar to that free of without thinking.
Yeah, but then if sugar's already in it, you're lessening your workload. Therefore, you don't have to add sugar.
You can't have Frosties and plain Rice Krispies need sugar.
And cornflakes need sugar.
I understand that.
So you can't put sugar on top of your Rice Krispies when you're having Frosties because then you're adding sugar on top of your Frosties, which is diabetes.
But what I'm saying is, if Frosties is already there, you don't need to add sugar. Meaning
you do because
you get your meal faster.
When you take a bite,
I feel more though. I feel more though because the Frosties aren't that sweet. They aren't that sugar coated. Whereas with cornflakes, you can just add as much as you want.
There we go.
As sweet as you want it to be. Frosties now aren't that nice.
And there's tactics to it. You got to do cornflakes, Rice Krispies, and then a bit of cornflakes on top.
I say, yeah, you're a monster.
Yeah,
there's tactics to this.
You're a serial killer.
Sometimes you got to slap in the cornflakes and Weetabix.
What?
Hey, let me get started on cereal, bro. I eat cereal for banter. Like I eat cereal a lot.
Did you ever go to that serial killer cafe in Shoreditch?
No, I didn't do all of that, man. I'm not paying to eat cereal.
It's a good cafe, though.
I feel you.
Oh, you've been?
Yeah, it's dope. Yeah.
But I also keep it to the same ones I know. Like even when we were in America, I didn't really try anything else but what I normally get.
I can't remember, man. I can't remember your breakfast diet. But we moved.
It was Rice Krispies.
Cam, what about you?
Well, I had some golden crunch. So I had some golden crunch. I have no idea why they're fitting into this argument, but I'm guessing it's a little bit Frosties, it's a little bit cornflakes. They're like a cousin. They're just on their own in the corner, innit? They're like those guys. So I had some of them. They were dope. No, it's actually been quite a good week. We interviewed Elzai, which was really good. I really enjoyed doing that. So that was dope. And so that kind of took up my whole week. You just doing that. So, and then obviously the series that we've got out. I've been working hard on that. But generally, it's that and a bit of work on the side at the moment. It's then your day's gone, right? And then it's like, all right, what do I do now? So I've kind of late nights and early mornings. So shattered, man. Not gonna lie, but. Not gonna lie, but it's kind of worth it when you see the work afterwards, isn't it? It's just got to get your head down and get it done. But other than that, just the classic cereal banter. That was it, really, in the house. Just chatting about what cereals we like.
Yeah. You gotta have a good.
That's our next episode.
Yeah, for real, man. You gotta have a good cereal debate every once in a while, I guess.
I know, man.
But big lucks on the Elzai though. Is that gonna drop soon?
Man. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Hopefully, in about I don't know when this is going out, but like in the middle of our series, just going to drop it because we've been trying to get it for ages, and I was like, it'd be nice to just drop it whenever we can. So hopefully soon, man. So he's dope. He was wicked. I don't know if you've heard the new album, but I really like that new album.
I listened to that as well last week. Sounds good.
It's got bars, man. Hits home after it takes 3 or 4 listens for me, and then I'm like, oh, I'm getting it. The concepts and that. The first listen is a bit of a breeze, but man, that's me, man.
Feel that, man. Yeah, I need to check out that Elzai project. From what I've heard, it seems like it's some dopeness. So definitely good on my list. But there's so much music, man. There's so much music. There's so much podcasts. There's too much to where do you even begin? But to move on to our next topic of what we've been listening to this week, Peter, would you like to go first?
Yeah, man. So I had to write it down just because I can never remember what I listened to throughout the weeks. So obviously I've been listening to Benny the Butcher's new album, which is, I think I was raving about it in the group chat. I said probably album of the year. For me, right now, probably album of the year. And I'm very confident in saying that. Given that we're in October, I don't think it's that bad of a shout. You know what I'm saying? I know that's a whole other debate, but I'm going to just throw it out there.
Why even justifying it before you even had a chance to argue?
I would say it's too easy because it's in October. you could still be spinning it in 2 months, but right now, who's spinning Pray for Paris right now? Like, still, and that came out what 4 or 5 months ago. Yeah, me too. But generally, out of my mates, it's got a bit of a disadvantage. Came out a bit early for me. Like,
yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, but
you know what, we're gonna come back to that. I need to come back to that argument. But
yeah.
So obviously I've listened to Black Thought, Streams of Thought, Volume 3 as well, which I've really enjoyed. Huh?
9.
I checked out Alicia Keys' new album, which I sort of liked. It was all right. What else have I been listening to? Music Soul Child had a mixtape where he was covering a Prince song, an MJ song, and a Marvin Gaye song over Dilla beats, and I just thought it was dope. Just sounded really good. And that's pretty much it, man. It's been a quiet week musically for me. But that's pretty.
Music Soul Child still make music?
Yeah.
I thought you turned into a rapper.
Yeah, I think that was for like one album. I don't know what he was thinking there, but yeah.
What's the name of that project with
It's called. I'll find out and tell you afterwards. I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, no, it's good though.
Sounds good. Shout out to Music Soul Child.
Yeah.
Mohammed, what about you?
I wish I could say I was listening to new music, but I haven't been. Because I've been working, I've been listening to what I know, to be honest with you. You know, when you just work so much, you ain't got time to digest new music. So today, I rinsed through A Boogie's album, Hoodie Season again, just because I want to, it's been a while. So realistically, all I've really listened to is A Boogie the last few days anyway, just because I know Peter hasn't listened to him, but we move. I've just been checking out A Boogie this week, the last few days, to be honest with you. Peter looks so disappointed in me whenever I said that.
Well, you like what you like.
Like, he just looks like he was expecting me to throw Black Thought out there, fam. Like, he just looks...
Bro, you listen to whatever you want to listen to. I'm not going to...
I feel you. No, yes.
It's yin and yang, isn't it?
Yeah, is it?
It's yin and yang.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, literally the last few days I've been listening to A Boogie, whether it's Hoodie Season or Jungle. That's what I've been listening to recently anyway, the last few days. What about you?
I do think you're the biggest A Boogie fan that has ever lived, though.
I don't think I'm a massive fan of A Boogie like that.
I think I'm the only A Boogie fan.
I mean, that's not true because it sounds like London, but that's neither here nor there. A Boogie could do a bigger show than Black Thought right now in London. Can I just put that's number one?
We're not having this conversation.
Number one. No disrespect to...
I'm going to be real with you. I'm not having a conversation because I won't be able to. Do you know what I'm saying? So I just would not. I don't want to get into it.
No, I played. But yeah, that's what I've been listening to. But I wouldn't say I'm a massive fan of A Boogies, personally.
But yeah, man. As for me, I've been kind of light on the music listening front. To be honest, I've been listening to podcasts this week, but I managed to. Well, not managed to, but I've more or less been returning to albums. So Benny the Butcher's album, gave that a second listen. Still really, really dope. I've been listening to Car Descendants of Cain as well. Really, really like that album. And the mad thing is, like, I was late to that album. I think I only listened to it for the first time like a couple weeks ago. But I haven't been able to stop listening to it because it's really, really dope. Big ups that one. I also returned to Boy in the Corner as well, just because I hadn't listened to it in a while, so wanted to listen again. It's still sounding fresh, still sounding dope. And yeah, no more words need to be said on that. And I've also been listening to Little Sims's radio show, 101 FM. So when she dropped her EP, Drop 6 in July, or June or July or some sort, she did this 5-episode radio show to basically promote the project. And we just got it onto Kiki, so I've just been listening to the 5 episodes, and yeah, man, they're really dope. There's one episode, I think it's the second one, where she does a freestyle over the Shook Ones beat, and it's fire. It's fire. It's already on her Mixcloud, but that episode will be up on Kiki next Thursday, so check that out when you got a chance. So yeah, that's pretty much me. What about you, Cam?
Yeah, man. No, first of all, I need to check out that Little Sims project. It sounds wicked. But music-wise, Benny for sure. Jesus Christ, man. Sly Green is like just a banger. One of my bangers of the year. I love that track. And what else has been going on? I think Clipping dropped something new, which I've kind of checked half of the album, and it was like pretty much. I don't know if you guys were into Clipping, but that was quite hard. That was kind of what you get. And then Savage Mode, the chopped and screwed version.
There's a chopped and screwed version.
Yeah, like I'm not a massive fan of, like, I don't know much about that world, but I really like Savage Mode, so I was like, oh, mind checking out that chopped and screwed version, and it's just brilliant, man. It's so good. So that's been on heavy rewind. And the last one was David Wolves. I was listening to that album again the other day. I don't know if you guys heard David Wolves?
No.
I reckon you might enjoy it. You guys are Kanye fans, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it sounds like the school of that, but it's almost like it almost mimics it at times. But I kind of like it, and he's from Florida, and I don't know. I heard it a few months ago, and it just came on shuffle again, and I thought I want to check the project out, and then last 2 days I've kind of just been bumping that, and yeah, that's it, man. That's it. That's been me. So a little bit of new music, a little bit of old music, but you know what I mean.
I hear that, man. I could never really truly get into the chopped and screwed movement. It's just like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I got it. I didn't get it through hip hop because I like electro and dubstep and stuff as well. So some of that is a little bit like off kilter, and I think that's how I got into chopped and screwed, because it's just off kilter. And if I because I like rhyming, and that's not really what that's about really at all. It's more about, well, just being really high on cough syrup, I think, and just you know what I mean, and just vibe. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I'm 40 years old, so I can't use words like the vibe, like vibe and shit. So I'm gonna go the long way round, and you just fill in. Yeah, that's.
You just fill in the. I will fill in the blanks, basically.
That's it, man. That's it. But yeah, man, that's me.
Yeah, that, man. Sounds good. I mean, obviously, very eclectic from all of us. And shout out A Boogie as well. I'm sure he's doing well.
That was unnecessary. Unnecessary.
What?
That was very necessary. Because man, look at my fucking Black Thought and Benny out there, and I want to talk for the other people in this world. We're shouting out a random man, fam.
Yeah, because he's the only one you listen to this week. And to be fair, I've given A Boogie a chance. I listened to that album where he did collabs with like international artists. I think that was like a year or so ago. It was like, but didn't make me want to go back to him. You know what I'm saying? But shout out that man, innit?
Hey man, I go back to it, fam. I'm an A Boogie fan.
So what we're going to get into now then is Cam. Tell us about yourself, bro. Tell us about your journey with hip hop and how the podcast came about. All of that, bro.
Oh man, yeah. I suppose it's a bit different to you guys because I was born in a village. Well, not born in a village. I was brought up in a village, so the mentality is just completely different to like city. And I've been in London since '99. So yeah, so you know, long enough to feel like that's like, you know, my favourite city kind of thing, just because it's there and I lived there and I worked there. So comparing the two, especially moving to London 18, 19 years old, at prime time, you know, you're ready to go out. I remember going to, again, show my age, but Temple, Subterranea, these places that I think hip hop heads kind of find themselves quite easily. It's easier now probably, but back then it was like, okay, the kind of cloud of green in the corner bumping like beats, you know, that's kind of hip hop heads. And once you get into that mode, it was like, yeah, and all of them are Londoners, and big up all my boys from like South, basically. They were all South or East End, and just showed me all the best places to go. Brixton, Hackney was wicked, but fucking grimy. I mean, like, holy shit, okay, like, it's not like that at all, but Hackney Downs back in the day, I've seen Kalashnikov in Hackney Downs a few times, and yeah, like, you talk about thumbs out, and but that was what made that music so fucking good, man, for me. And sorry for swearing, I don't know if I swear, but and yeah, so moved from in the village, it was kind of like West Side got me into it, West Coast stuff, so it was really Snoop, went from Snoop, Pac, and then to Biggie, Nas, Wu, and then try to school myself up as much as possible with only Yo MTV and The Source and Hip Hop Connection, and those were my only outlets. Like, I remember like putting 36 chambers in my mate's like CD in the car, and it lasted about 38 seconds, and he just got it and get that. What is this? And they didn't understand any of it. It was wrong of me to try with Wu, because that's not the easiest in. I should have gone Snoop or something like that. But yeah, man, London. And then came to London, working in radio, and just the scene here was sick. Deal Real Records, places like that where just it was a community, and I think that's the thing that, like, you go to shows. I'm sure you boys have it now, where you go to enough shows, like you're going like so many a month, like 15 shows a month probably. Like, you're going so many to them, and you see like all the same people. After a while, you start chatting, and then just getting schooled on a lot of hip hop that I didn't know about, especially UK hip hop. When I came to London, I really heard about Rodney P, Black Twang, Ty, just everyone, like Kalashnikov, all these people, and just fell in love with it. And then just kind of, it was weird because my mates were MCs, DJs, producers, like they worked everywhere, and it's weird because you get to go to like shows with them, and like it's just odd. I don't know if there was a few shows like people called Organics in Cambridge, and that was a real big thing back then. Everyone would go from London to Cambridge to go see Ice-T, or like the biggies like Pharaoh Monch or whoever is touring. They try to book the top level, and it was like in a weird like car park in Cambridge somewhere called the Junction. Ice-T's there, and you're like, Jesus, man. And like, yeah, and that was it. And then did radio, worked in about Six Music, worked for 5 Live doing sport, did Football Weekly's podcast. I don't know if you know the Guardian Football Weekly podcast, but I produced that first season. I really got into podcasts. Left all the game, went off, tried to do a business on my own, running a off license in Scunthorpe.
All right.
And yeah, it's just a wild move. I was like, let's try to make a business, try to follow an entrepreneurial kind of thing. My family all has that. Didn't really fall in love with it, I'll be honest. I like the idea of community, which is cool, that a shop can give you, because you're bumping Bob Deep and like a 15-year-old comes in, they're like, what is that? Yeah, this guy like needs to know who Mobb Deep are. And that kind of weird dialogue you get like from little villages is quite cool. And then came back down here, and I'm at Bleacher Report at the moment, Bleacher Report Football, and yeah, started the podcast back just under 2 years ago now. So yeah, did that, and yeah, it's just been a hell of a ride, man. Podcasting, like you guys are showing, it's just a new era for it, if you know what I mean. It's just like you cater to everyone's taste, and that's what, again, like, because I'm out of the loop on a lot of the music like Kano or like people I used to listen to, but I just don't, with everything else, I don't get time to read up on stuff, or like I used to, like liner notes, or like not even that, like just knowing what the latest stories are. So hearing stuff like you guys and other pods are out there, Shotgun the Yorks and all that, like it's nice to keep in touch and be like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. And I like the fact that you guys get into interviews as well, because it's getting to people that I don't maybe really know, and getting to know those people and how vital they are to like a section of this music, especially British music. I feel like, yeah, like Black British music it's come up massively to where I was as a kid, but I still think it's got some way to go. I really think there's more to come. Like you see Stormzy at Glastonbury, and like, okay, like all my mates' granddads now know who he is, but really, I do think there's another level to come. I don't know what that is, but I do think like this is the start of something where, like, people I know who don't even like grime are trying to tell me about Top Boy at work, like it's their favourite show. And I was like, it's weird how it's permeating loads of different pop culture, if you know what I mean. And I feel like it's just an extension from the music, and that's beautiful, man. It's like the culture isn't just what you listen to; it's also, living your life. That's your life, man, and this is people's lives. And I feel like just to see that growing and getting the shine, and people getting their dues, I think is sick, man. I think it's sick.
For sure, man, for sure. Even when you look at stuff like Nines and Heady One having #1 albums now, it's kind of what you say about, you don't know what kind of form it's going to take, but it's just going to get further. But I very much feel the same way, man. I feel like everyone's winning now, everyone's thriving, but you seem to have like come up in a time of like great community as well. Like you obviously came through the golden era as well. A sense of community, like you said about going from London to Cambridge to see Ice-T. I feel like it doesn't really exist in like our generation as much, but I suppose that's just like the golden era of like hip hop and stuff, where everything was just so new and so raw, and you saw some of the greatest just live doing their thing as well. So I feel like you definitely have like lived through a dope time.
It's interesting. Thank you. Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I love talking to guys who are a little bit younger like yourself, and I work with a lot of young people, just to hear that. That's interesting to me that you're saying that the community maybe isn't. I find the community now is just a bit different, but it's the first time, man, in years, and I'm talking like about 6, 7, 8 years, where I felt a real sense of community after moving from London as well. Like there is no community up there, like for rap and hip hop. But what I realized with the pod is the social and online community, however much I used to like not be on socials too much, just our growth shows there are people out there, man, like just wicked, like really positive energy. That's what I'm kind of about. I can't have that negative energy. I think there's a Wicked Conway lyric on the Lulu EP. And man, I've been rewinding this lyric like all the time, where it's like, "I love you, man, but I just don't need that energy." And he's talking about his mate who's trying to help him out, but he's being like negative, and it like doesn't help him grow. And that hits me, and I'm like, "Oh, I need is that positive." And Twitter ain't the way to find positive energy all the time, but amazingly, we have amazingly for all the rubbish we get for the stuff we post and how our show is, and people that you're always going to have a bit of people not liking it, but I also feel like tenfold more there's people who genuinely really like it, and it's I think that community is there, but it's just a different form now. And like
they've definitely migrated to online now. I feel like just stuff like Twitter, Reddit, stuff like that. Like the community has obviously mutated into different ways and different forms of communicating and just like showing their love as well, and that goes into like podcasts and stuff like that. And these fans are now starting to like make content that kind of just pays tribute to those communities and stuff. So definitely like a dope movement going on right now for sure.
Yeah, man, love it.
I'm not really. I guess how I experience the communities is a bit different because I'm not on any socials. So I think a lot of the time it might be via Mo or Yemi introducing me to people and just being amongst their friends as well. I guess that's how I get a feel for what the community is currently like anyway. But it does seem as though it is online now. Like, it seems like there's a massive shift now. Even in like when I'm on YouTube and I'm just going through the comment section, it could be something as small as that you can build a community up within. Because if you're like listening to an artist on YouTube that you really enjoy, and then you go through the comments and see that loads of people enjoy it too, that's how you form communities as well. Just even through small things like that.
Social media, it's made the world so small. Like, I didn't even know there was a hip hop community podcast until we started the podcast, and then you just see how small it makes it, and it's just mad how it happens. Like, I genuinely didn't know I knew there was an avenue, but I didn't know how many people wanted it or who else was doing it, and the love people show to each other. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's genuine. There's no falsehood, and it just shows you how tight knit it is and how small it is, which is actually really sick to see. To be honest with you, like,
I had no idea. Sorry, Mo. I had no idea like the amount of UK hip hop podcasts there were. Like, I literally had no idea. I thought we were going to be like one of like 3 or 4. You come to find out there's loads, and they're doing things not that much different from ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So it's nice.
And everyone's got their own avenue. Like, we're not all doing the same thing.
That's it. You get like little things from so many different places. You get certain things from us, the Crate, and whomever else. It's nice, man. It's a nice feel. We're all supporting each other too, which is always dope as well. In America, it's like crabs in a barrel type, but here it doesn't feel like that so much.
Yeah, mate, that's exactly what hip hop's about for me. Is like one of the part of it is the community. Like, it's how we got into the music. As I got into the music as a kid, like I felt something in that music that I couldn't feel in Bon Jovi or Queen or whatever else is doing. You know what I mean? Like, these kids are listening to at that age. I remember hearing like even someone like Crisscross, and I was like, oh wow, I feel something different in this. And then it's when you hear them greats, you start realizing, oh wow, I feel there's something in this music that's different to everything else, that's affecting me personally. And then when you find someone else who's got that same like connection, that's your mate, like your community then. And then I honestly feel like hip hop has grown from that. It always has. Like, DJs, everything, street teams, all these people have come through community, and man, yeah, that's it's just a beautiful thing, man. Just hope it doesn't end like anytime soon, because it's like it feels good, but that it's like something, especially when you've been around for a while, especially with music, you see the waves of music. Like, you realize there's a cycle to it, or there's like oh, something's on the come up now that's banging, but in a few years it ain't going to be, and it's going to make something else. And I just like living in that moment now, like like that independent hip hop moment right now. I love it. I love this moment we're living in. The music, there's, like you said, Yemi, there's so much. It's unreal, but it's so good as well. Like, this year's got some sick albums, and every year I tend to be saying that, which is nice, which is a wicked thing.
Do you have a top 5?
Oh man, yeah. So I hope you noted me this. So these are a little bit off the dome, because I'll be honest, I haven't made too many notes. But I thought like top 5s, they change all the time anyway, right? So one of the things I've learned is mine kind of changes. But if we're going US, there's usually a resident 3, which is Rakim, Doom, and Biggie. Usually it's those 3, and I can't say many more things about those guys that have already been said. But formative, and Biggie to this day, even for the limited amount of work he's got, I feel like there's not enough. You can't try to argue that down, and it's so hard, like, to argue, because he kind of is perfect. If hard to say that word. I mean, it's, what is perfect? There might not be that, but it's close to it. And he's in there. So this week I was like, actually, who is in my top 5? There's not many people I get that excited about as Kendrick, and he's an easy go-to, but it's an easy go-to for a reason, if you know what I mean, like, because he is clearly that much better. And I remember when he dropped Humble that morning, I must have played that video like 20 times, man, and again and again. I was like, I don't do this for anyone else. Like, really, like, nowadays, someone drops something like that, I don't get addicted to that like that. But so Kendrick's in there, and then my 5th, it may cause a few like people throwing a bit of fire my way. I was gonna say Eminem, man.
Come on. Come on.
Okay. Now we put in.
I apologize, bro. I've never come
now we are put in.
Yo, bro. I just want the record to show I've never cut off him after he says he's top 5.
Let me explain. That's true. You haven't.
No.
I apologize. You didn't understand this.
This is the 4. The 4 I was putting in at first, I was like, they'll be all right with that. I'll keep M for 5th, and let's see that little minefield. So I'm not gonna lie, I have put him in there. One, genuinely has been in my top 5 for a long while, but also big for this. I kind of wanted the chat about this because, okay, his last album is not that good. His last album before that is possibly one of the worst pieces of music I've ever heard. Generally, like, it is so. It's almost like he's mocking was all. I was like, this is a spoof, though. Like, you wouldn't do this, and you can't make that many excuses for it. It's just bad. And his reaction to having something out bad is even worse. It's like, bro, just own it. Like, own the L, take it. You're good. You've got so much credit in the bank. Just take the L. And it's almost like when Nas makes a bad album, he don't come out and have a go at us for hating it. Like, he sometimes, but do you know what I mean? He ain't like petulant, and I feel like M got petulant. So I'm giving you your argument here. My argument is that even in all that shit that he has done, there are still moments in a track that I'm like, hold on a minute, and I have to rewind the wordplay he said, and I feel like, again, who's making me do that now? It's a very visceral reaction, and I can't check myself. Maybe it's just me being continuously 15 years old, not understanding that, come on, get on with it. But, like, I tell you who the only other person who does that, Andre, 3 Stacks. When 3 Stacks drops a feature now, before it even finishes, I tend to rewind that, because I do think he's playing a different game, I feel, and not dropping an album just adds to that. But honestly, M is the only other one where, like, Benny will drop great couplets. Conway's great. I like them. Their couplets are great. I love them. But is anyone making me do a screw face and go, hold on a minute, what? Whilst I'm shaving? Not that much. Not that much. So I'm here. Let's go, though. I want to hear.
I feel you. Like, no, you're a better human being than me, and I'm gonna tell you why. No, I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why you're a better human being than me. You're giving Eminem the chance to rewind his verses. Since I've hit puberty, I don't think I've ever listened to an Eminem verse fully. I'm a 28-year-old man now. Like, I'm not even trying to knock Eminem like that, but the only reason why he's not in my top 5 personally, when you've been worse longer than you've been good, you're not in my top 5.
Yeah.
Eminem's been, in my opinion, he's been worse long. There's no one else in my top 5 that can say nowhere near it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's no one.
Have to break it down a bit, though, innit? I think if we're talking about, first of all, what's everyone's criteria for a top 5? I think that's very important, because if we're talking just like lyrically, then it's hard to argue that he's not in that conversation. Now, if we're talking about everything else that we encompass, then I can understand why people won't have him in their top 5. And I think the argument is on the catalogue side. It's never the skill set, because no one is dumb enough to argue that he's not an amazing lyricist. But I think it's the catalogue, it's the music. I think as we get older, a lot of the music that he made at the beginning of his career hasn't aged as well as other musicians. That's where a lot of the critique comes in. Yeah, and this is me saying it, and then that's a nice way of me saying it. Because I'm in a good mood too. If I was in a hate mood, I'll just be shitting on him.
Oh, please.
Yeah, can I ask you a question?
No, but it's,
You had a
go
chance
on.
in episode 15, mate.
So,
But truth be told, man, Eminem's like he's a flawless MC, man.
But like you said, it's about what I'm meriting my top 5 on, right?
Yeah,
Whoever
it's
merits their top 5 on stuff. Like, if I'm going at catalogue, those are incredible catalogues. Doom, Biggie, even Biggie's was quite small. Kendrick, their catalogues are deep. But yeah, like Rakib's catalogue is old, but I'm putting him in there because, again, when I hear Microphone Fiends, it's making me go, oh, what? And his latest stuff ain't that good. Do you know what I mean? And or as good, at least. And it does get a bit formulaic and whatever. Like, that's the argument I hear about Black Thought sometimes, where I'm like, I love Black Thought, but people, he does get a bit samey, though. And it is not like it's not pushing the, like, creatively, especially at a time like now, when you can make whatever you want. Like, I think people are sleeping a little bit on Denzel Curry's like latest like few singles because they're wild, but they're kind of nice to hear and go for that. Whereas some of these people ain't ever changing it. I don't think M is ever gonna like.
Doesn't have to.
I don't think he can ever really make another great album unless he does a collab with. I don't know.
I think he needs to stop making the beats as well because he's not the best beat maker.
He's never been the best. I mean, he makes the beats for a certain audience, and that audience isn't me. Like, if you know what I mean. Like, I ain't bumping that in the car. I'm not like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like the last album. Like, there's a few tracks on there for sure. Absolutely, put them on the bangers playlist of the year. Let's go. But after a while, they get drowned out because there's so many more adventurous ways of making music that are coming out right now, and I feel like it's kind of taken over the lyrical side. But if I was like if I was just in a mood for bars, I might visit it. But then even now, you have so many people dropping bars, right? So, but yeah, there you go.
Cam, can I ask you a question on Rakim? Because I don't really tend to talk to that many people that throw him in there. I think in like just doing my studies and just listening to some of my favorites, I hear them mention him, but I don't know anyone like that's close to me or had a conversation with anyone that's put him in there. So I'm curious as to why. Because stylistically, I get it. I think for everything that he stands for, just image-wise, his content, I love it. Skill-wise, though, and no disrespect to him, I feel like there are people that have come after him that have taken it to another level. So I'm curious as to why him.
That's interesting you say that, man, because I feel still, and this is just being genuine, and, you know, I don't speak to people on rap Twitter, they're very different to what I feel, but, like, genuinely, I don't think I have heard many MCs who it's hard to nail. We've tried this on the pod. We've tried to nail down why is it we love him so much, and all I keep coming back to is the prerequisite of flow. And Jigga's flow is amazing. Nas's flow is does Nas switch his flow up enough for him to get there? Rakim's flow, just the way he's linking words and the rhythmic pattern to it, you could just nod your head to that and sometimes don't even hear what he's saying. It's just the way he's saying it. That for me is one of the biggest things for me when I go back to, and I do still listen to Rakim today because I don't get that from many other people. And also, it's obviously because as a kid, that's what hit me hardest as a kid. And I feel like some things that are seared into your mind, you're never going to be able to, no one can take that spot. It's like Pac. Like, I don't think I'll ever be obsessed by a artist as much as I was with Pac, because who now has that mythos around them outside of hip hop, inside of hip hop, and is going on like he went on. Like, for 3 years, he was just not caring, and he was in all the news. Like, he's a different level. Do you know what I mean? So there's no one can really touch Pac in that, and I don't even know if he can fit in a top 5 because he kind of is bigger than a top 5. Oh, it's hard to say. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like the Bob Marley effect, or the, you know what I mean? Like, you can't like, you can talk about reggae, you can talk about dancehall, but does Bob Marley like get talked about in those conversations? He's a bit bigger than that, but I think he represents still a lot of that spirit. So I don't know if I made any sense there, by the way, lads.
It makes perfect sense, man. And of course, everything's relative as well. Because obviously, Rakim was like a god for so long as well, and he's the reason why a lot of people are here anyway. So you don't necessarily want to deviate from like the source too much, especially if the source was the reason why a lot of the people that come after them are rapping in the way they rap. And I agree 100% on the flow as well. Like Rakim has a way of just like putting words together that is just like, you hang on to his every word. So I get anyone who puts him in there, even if like he might not necessarily be to my taste, but I recognize that he is a pioneer. He might even arguably be bigger than a top 5.
Rakim.
Yeah,
Arguably.
maybe. Actually, in my school, I can probably see people saying that just because he was so fundamental. But I don't know, like younger people that I know.
Sorry to cut you off. Off influence alone, you could probably argue that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then Jigga's probably in there as well, right? Like he's in mine, but if you're talking about influence, yeah, man, like wow. And I mean, okay, his catalogue's got some dips, but yeah, he's still bringing stuff, and you think that's longevity as well. He's got that's better than Rakim's.
Yeah,
it's better than M's. You know what I mean? So Jay's got to be in the conversation for sure. But I come from the school that hated Jay, and then we loved him, and then we, you know what I mean? We hated him because he was just talking about money, and we were like, nah, don't talk about money, man. We don't want to hear about like you do. You're doing well off rap. Nah, mate, don't want to hear about that. And then you get older, and you're like, that was so immature. Like, you know, why we hated on him?
Yeah.
I actually remember. I've got to tell you a story of when I realised the standard Jay-Z was at, because all backpackers hated him. We saw Talib Kweli at Subterranea, and Talib was just like, who likes Common? Who likes Mos Def? Who likes Pharoah Monch? And all the crowd's like, he goes, who likes Jay-Z? And the whole crowd just booed. In West London, everyone's just booing. And he just went, Jay-Z will wrap rings around anyone. You guys have no idea what you're talking about. Like Talib said that to a West London crowd in Subterranean, where we, you know, like I've been there a few times. Like when Cannabis is giving it loads to the crowd's like, nah, mate, just whatever. And you know, Talib said it, and I remember he just reassessed a little bit, and I'm glad he said that because it really changed my thinking on Jigga. And I was like, yeah, man, you can't sleep on what he actually can do. So, yeah.
What album of Jay-Z's was the one that made you feel like, yeah, I was crazy?
Great question. Probably Volume 2 was the one where I was like, damn, this boy's making hits, and he's making like the bars and staying true and all the references and all that. And then, oh man, yeah. But I think the one that certified him as top 5 conversation was Blueprint. That summer in London, Blueprint, everywhere you went. Like I was like 20. And we were out all the time outside, going out, whatever, Blueprint, all the time. That whole summer was just Blueprint. And for a good reason, man. That banged. That album banged. Still bangs, I think. So.
Yeah. For sure. Do you have a UK top 5?
Yeah, this one's a bit tougher, man. This one was a little bit tougher because I felt like I should be adding some of the newer artists I'm listening to. But then I kind of felt like, I don't know, I don't have that kind of embeddedness. I'm not embedded in their music to really have that. I can't say that about Kano because I slept on Kano for quite a few years, and now I listen to Kano's projects. I love them, and I was like, I don't know if I can say that about him because I don't know his earlier work as well. So I would put Dizzy in there, purely for what he's done for British music as well as skills. Like you can see my top 5 is based heavily on skills, and catalogue maybe not as much. I'm not gonna lie, I might have danced to Bonkers now and again. I may have been there dancing to Holiday. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Holiday, all that. But
hey, listen, someone in this chat admitted recently that Holiday is a banger. I won't say who.
Oh, bro, I know. I will own that.
I may back that.
Bro,
you may back that.
I was skanking for Holiday, man.
I believe you.
He imagined himself in the same white suit that Dizzy had in that video. In Ibiza or wherever the hell he was, just doing his thing, innit?
No, that's a banger, man. I'm not gonna lie.
It's that breakdown. It's that breakdown at the end.
I'm telling you, bro.
That was good.
If I'm out, I've had a few cocktails and that little breakdown comes on, I'm dancing, man. I'm gonna have to, man. But yeah, no, I think Dizzy's in there. Obviously, you just said Boy in the Corner. I remember that coming out, and yeah, and again, I really shitted on grime when it first came out. I was like, what is the only thing I liked was That's the Word. Oh no, that's the word. And that was I was like, wow, the video, everything about that, I was in. And then when 21 Seconds came out, I was like, what is this? Like I hated it. So, and because it was on Top of the Pops, and I was in London, but everyone was loving it. But it was just kind of us US hip hop heads. like in this weird hate for UK shit, which is rubbish. It's moronic when you think about it. And now I actually really like that track. And you know what I mean? This is my experience, my honest experience with like UK rap, because what I failed to realise back then, it isn't UK hip hop's one thing. This is a new thing. This is grime, or what would come on to be whatever, like even garage and stuff like that. Like it took me a minute. I was sleeping and I got there. Yeah. But like Dizzy's in there for and even the way Dizzy's going on with Ocean Wisdom's tracks, like oh my days, like the way he is, yeah, it's crazy. I'm gonna go Kalashnikov. I've mentioned him a few times already, but I don't remember ever feeling like we had a British Nas until I heard Kalashnikov, and I was like, and I hate to compare people like that. I do, but it really was the same feeling of this guy's telling me stories from a community I'm not in, but I feel like I'm in there. He's got a crew that is like, I don't know, I really enjoyed all of their features. And yeah, and I went to Kalashnikov's listening party for his new album that came out, and not a lot of people talking about it, and a little bit subdued, but it was just wicked going to the listening party and seeing him back, and his mother passed away, so it was very, very emotional. That listening party was odd, man. It felt like you were in a family gathering, and it felt, I didn't know if I should have been there, but everyone was really like emotional because of his mum, and the whole album's about his mum. It's named after her and stuff. So yeah, I don't get that feeling much. So Kalashnikov for me is up there as well. Cannot not say Rodney P. Rodney P, formative. London Posse were one of the first groups I really heard when I came to London, and that was like 5 years after they'd been out. So I was really like hearing that for the first time, like British, feeling proud to be British as well. Like it weren't British rap trying to be like US. It was like, nah, this is us. This is us. And I'm not a Londoner. I'm kind of honorary Londoner, and that feeling of ownership, there's nothing like that, man. It's like when your team do well, you're like, yeah, man, this is us. Like we're winning. And what you said earlier, Yanni, about everyone winning, that's kind of how I feel now. Like it feels like us, we're owning this. This is our thing. And I think Rodney P really hammered that home for me. The last two, Skinny Man, because I do think he's had the best UK hip hop album of all time. Council State of Mind. I think that record, I still play that record, and yeah. And Skinny is just a kind of myth around the UK hip hop scene. I remember seeing him one of the first times ever we were walking out and my mates were tooting. They were letting me know like what's going on and stuff. And he's skinny, clearly. His name's Skinny Man. And there was a massive bloke, and they were starting on each other, like going at each other outside this club. I think it might be some trainer. And I was like, what? That guy's going to get absolutely rinsed. He's like, nah, Skinny Man. He'll sort himself out. And then you just see him. You'd see him at Deal Real. You just see him around. And it's not just that. I'm talking about his skills are great. He's like passion, that feeling of realness. Like I get that from Chester P as well. I'm not sure if you guys like know much Task Force back in there, but that realness was there as well. So Skinny's in there. And then last one, it was a toss-up between Chester P and Jest. So I couldn't pick, but I'm probably going to go Jest. So UK hip-hop again, and just a man who I've spotted, like, again, one of the best UK hip-hop albums, England. That album is amazing. With that, I can't remember what the album's called now, but it's got England on it. That track I love. And yeah, that's my five, man. That's my five.
Dope, man. Dope.
Yeah.
Just, man.
No takedowns. No takedowns.
No, none at all, man. None at all. I was even going to say, like, Jest. I haven't heard Jest in a top five, like, ever. So it's good to see him getting his props as well. Like, and obviously Skinny Man as well. Like,
love when you see a different top five. It makes the side about it when you hear certain people that you've never heard or that you don't normally hear, where it's just like, I get it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have loved Wretch, but I get it.
Yeah, but
you like too?
That's what
I would have loved Wretch, but I get it.
Wretch.
Yeah,
last project. Actually, it's because of you guys I got into that last project. You guys were talking about Wretch 32's last project on your pod, and I was like, hold on a minute, Wretch 32, all right. And then I like it. I
respect that, brother.
I liked it, but then I don't have any of this knowledge of what his standing is in the game or any of that. I just heard someone on this pod liking it, and I was like, go on then, I'll try it out. And it's
Mohammed could talk your ear off for about a week about Wretch. And that's putting it mildly.
All I think he's one of the greatest lyricists we've ever had. That's about it. Nothing too crazy.
without any further ado, then we can move on to the main topic of today. We're basically going to going on from the discussion we had about hits earlier on. Kind of just want to expand the debate now to transferring it from what makes a hit to going to what makes an artist's catalogue or discography a great catalogue or discography. Now, for many people, the discography and catalogue of an artist is very much their bread and butter. What defines them as an artist. Yeah, man, I guess we just want to dig deep into what makes a catalogue great, what makes it not great, what makes it, what makes it exciting, what doesn't make it exciting. So, guys, the floor is yours. What are our thoughts?
I'm gonna let you guys. I'm gonna let you
Good
guys.
Talk. Good talk. I'm
gonna let you guys go first, man.
Well, for a bit of context, Cam has embarked on a new series on Crate 808 where he's talking to lots of different journalists and like figures in the rap game about the best 3 album runs in rap in the 90s. And off the back of that, we just kind of wanted to talk about what makes a discography a great one, basically. So for me, if I'm going to start, I think mine is a difficult one because obviously consistency is key. You want an artist and you want your favorite artist to be consistent and you want it to always be high quality music, which is obviously one side of the coin. For me, I feel like a big part of it as well is just how interesting you keep it. Like whether are you experimenting, how successful you are at doing that, are you rapping about the same things? Are you rapping about different things? Are you taking different perspectives on things that people have already spoken about and stuff? So obviously production as well. Production is important. It can't be the same stuff that you've rapped about or rapped on like for time and time. So it definitely like the whole package of whether it's just like moving forward rather than just staying like idle is very, very important for me. And I'd probably say someone as an example for that, I'd probably say someone like Childish Gambino. Like Childish Gambino is very, very different from when he started to now. Because when he started off, he was kind of like the outcast, the nerds, and he kind of rapped about nerdy things. And now he's just like fully formed into like a man of our times. He's incorporated the soul, the Bootsy Collins type stuff, funk. He's doing the This Is America stuff, which is nothing like what he did in the beginning. And you've seen that evolution. Like when you listen to something like Camp, which is his first album, and you listen to Because the Internet, his next album after that, completely different. And when you listen to Because the Internet and you listen to his most recent album, the one with the date, completely different as well. So he's someone who's always pushed himself sonically and he's always pushed himself topically as well. And he always keeps it interesting. It's not the same idleness. So for me, it's just how much you can switch it up as well, right? And if you're able to do that successfully.
I think growth is a big thing, but I think it's really hard to, if you go too far away from the formula that makes the first one good, it could really throw me off. Or if you go too close to the formula, where's the growth? And are you tweaking the formula to do different things? So I think Childish is a bit more extreme on that version, absolutely, and completely change. But yeah, I echo your point, man. That's all I can say. Yeah, the growth has to be there, I feel.
Yeah, man, there's definitely like a balancing act there because you don't want to push away your fan base too much, but you also want to grow as an artist. So it's very, very hard. And we've seen countless times like throughout history that people who try to do that either go too far or don't go far enough. So it's very, very difficult. And it's almost a skill within itself to just know and kind of just keep your ear to what people are saying and all that stuff as well. So
you can go like really far left and it still be quality music. I don't necessarily always believe that the issue is them straying too far from the formula or going too far left. I feel like a lot of the time when they do go far left, it's just not good music. And that's what I think it's that's alienating their fans. Do you know what I'm saying? It will come across on the surface that, they're just like trying weird stuff, but really and truly, the music's just not good as it was. So that's what will make people feel like, all right, well, you know what? It's the experimentation that's making the music bad when it's not. Because you can experiment a lot and still like drop some dope shit.
I think people get that very much mixed up. Like the fact that you've experimented. So let's say like Kanye, My Movie Dance is a Vanity to Jesus. A lot of people didn't like it because of how Jesus sounded like. I mean, even though the lyrics were whatever, clearly it was like a departure in very many ways. You know what I'm saying? But obviously a lot of people attach their dislike of it to the sound. And whether they felt it was good music or not, maybe they felt that way later. But I feel like, especially around that time, people were commenting a lot on how it sounded rather than the actual content, which, to your point, Peter, is something to get wrong, or just something that people misunderstand and get mixed up quite often.
I don't always think you need to see growth in an artist for them to have a great discography. I think, depending on who the artist is, if you know what to expect from the artist, and if they just keep doing that, I think you can still have a great discography. You don't always need to come with a new, like, for example, I'll give you an example, Rick Ross. I feel like Rick Ross has been the same rapper since the start. He's got a great ear for beats. He knows what to pick. But whatever he's rapping about has always been the same. Whatever he's about has always been the same. His character's always been the same. But we all agree here, I think anyway, that we all agree he's got a great discography. Do you get what I mean?
For sure.
So
I don't know a lot of Rick Ross to the point where I could confidently say that, because what I've heard is all very, like you said though. But that's probably the thing, is because it does sound quite the same. If I haven't tapped into it, I'm probably not going to get access to an album, because it all sounds that, which is kind of positive for growth, because sometimes you can catch new ears by trying new things. But if you're cool with your base of these are my listeners, I'm just going to do the same thing again and again, which is cool. It's interesting, because then I probably won't be able to penetrate that, because I'm not a massive fan of Rick Ross. I'm just not. So that's interesting that you say that, because like in there you're in, but from the outside perspective, it's kind of like, oh, what should I check out? It's almost like they all sound the same. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a weird one, because to me he sounds the same, but me as a fan, that's all I want to hear.
But to that point, Mo, do you feel like Rick Ross has developed through his discography? Can you hear the like growth artistically?
I feel like his bars got a little bit better, but I think his ears for beats has always been the same. Rick Ross has always been known to pick an amazing beat. That's never changed with him. So I don't think he's grown tremendously in his decade-long career. But I will put his discography against a lot of rappers, because I feel like he could go toe-to-toe with them.
What about subject matter?
I think he's grown with his ear for beats. I think he's always had a good ear for a beat, but I feel like as he's album after album, I think it's just gotten better and better and better. That's probably the only growth. As far as his content, you know what you're going to get.
So I just had a question for you off the back of that. Do you think content really matters then to have a great, or can you rap about the same thing?
It depends what you're rapping about. Yeah. For me, if you're rapping about something that is rich in, like, it's got some soul to it to start with, then rap about that forever. But if you're rapping about just like nonsense, I'm not saying he'd rap about nonsense, I'm saying if an artist did rap just about that, you can't keep doing that, because it's got a shelf life, for me.
Cam, how do you then feel about someone like Pusha T?
See, Pusha's, I think Pusha is, I love Pusha, and I think that discography, it really got lifted with that last album. Absolutely amazing. But do I go to him? He feels a specific need for me. Pusha does. Like, when I hear him, I'm like, oh, I'm looking forward to this. But over a whole project, Pusha albums have been playlisted for me. When I mean, like, I'm taking my best bits off. I'm not listening to this whole thing. The last album with Kanye was enough for me to listen to over and over again. It's short as well, so it helps. But like, I would say Pusha he's like a well-played assassin. Like, features-wise, is he on the new Black Thought album? I think he might be.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is, right? And hearing him on that track, I was like, let's go, man. I'm ready, and I like that. And then I do think that if you haven't got the growth in what you're saying, what I talked about earlier about mythos, or like narrative, or like drama, like something that lifts you out to be an artist, and you know, he doesn't take anything grief from anyone. So that beef, even though beef isn't a great thing, that happened with Drake has only lifted him to that level where you then, if you cross him, he will literally go for your kids. Like that is a level that makes him stand out. And I feel like if you were to talk about his discography, you'd have to talk about that Drake beef. You'd have to, because that's part of who he is to a whole new legion of fans. I feel like people weren't there when Grinding was out in the clubs, and that, I'm not joking, is a banger of all time. People have heard him talk about Drake like that, and you think it kind of gave him a resurgence. And I kind of think you get the same thing with him, but he has stuff outside of that as well that I feel like brings.
With Push though, are we including his albums as part of the clips? or are we just talking about his solo stuff?
You could add, I feel like you could add him. You could add it.
I feel like if we're talking about his albums and the clips, then I don't know if it's fair to call him samey. I feel like the clips, there was way more nuance because he had Malice there who was given a completely different perspective as to the ills of being in that drug life. You were getting the full package. And I think that's why Jay-Z's praised so much, because it wasn't just the glitz and the glories and, you know, it wasn't so ego-driven as far as being part of the drug game. He gave you the pitfalls of it as well. So Pusha being a part of the clips and dropping albums as part of the outlet, you got that as well. I don't know if you get that as much with solo Push. So maybe calling him samey as a solo act, I can understand. But if we're looking at the totality of his career, including the albums and the clips, then I don't know. With Ross, Ross makes me feel good. When I've just had a fresh haircut, it's a lovely sunny day. When I just want to feel good about myself, I listen to.
It's best to listen to
when you're in Greece.
But that's a selfish need, you know. I'm feeding a selfish need within. Now, if I put on if I'm taking myself out of it and I'm really judging as a hip hop head, there's a lot of critique there that you can throw on Rick Ross because it just goes back to the Black Thought argument as well. Everyone knows that's my favorite rapper ever, but I completely understand the samey argument with him. Do you know what I mean? But because I like what I get from him, I'm okay with it. If I'm putting on my objective hat, then I completely understand the critique. So I don't know if samey, even if quality, is good for your catalogue.
I think as long as it's quality, if you've got a lane, I don't think you always need to stray from the lane you're in. It's not by force. If you're good and you know the road you want to head down, you know what you want to rap about. And if that's sometimes that's all someone knows. You can't blame for Rick Ross for only knowing what he knows. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So why do we have to paint him with the same paintbrush that we will paint Kendrick? Because no one's trying to put him on them levels. We're just saying he's got a great discography.
That was going to go to my next. Sorry to cut you off, Mo, but that was going to go to my next point. Like, is the measuring stick for discography different depending on the type of artist that we're talking about? Because obviously, someone like Russ, we're not going to say his discography is on the same level as Kendrick's necessarily because they do different things. Yeah. Does that factor in anywhere?
But which lasts longer? I think Kendrick's, in the world of music, just even outside of hip hop, is going to last longer because he has experimented. And does he nail the landing? Does it matter? Like, I mean, it matters that you do good quality stuff. But like, to Pimp a Butterfly, right? I would think you need to have rewindability in one of these discographies. Like you're saying with Rick Ross, you play it, you feel good about it. Makes me think you probably still play his stuff. But out of here, who really is playing To Pimp a Butterfly all the time? Like, we're not, but you know it's a great record. But it also is like, oh, so does that matter? Because he went for something, nailed classic certified status on like a critical level, but we're not bumping it all the time. So when you talk about like different discographies, I think naturally you're going to have to talk about like one overarching theme, because otherwise Kendrick's so different to Ross. He's so different to Ross. So your whole argument has to kind of be like a general consensus. There has to be a general from critical to us guys sitting here and listening to this music and being like, I still play that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, 100%. And I agree. Obviously, Kendrick is a tough one because obviously To Pimp a Butterfly, as amazing it is, like replayability isn't really there, depending on like as far as the mainstream goes, isn't it? Other than like all right, but obviously the richness of it and what it means to the game as a whole is probably going to tip it over generally, like hip hop fans like us, than Ross's catalog, for instance. So
I think it's tough, man, because with everything we've just said, there's pressure on artists now to grow and to explore, even if it's not necessarily within them. And I don't know if that's fair as a consumer.
It's not.
It's tough, man. It's tough. That's a whole nother level of pressure added to the creative process when making an album, man. And if it's not naturally within you, it's a bit of a tough one. You're basically saying that you can't have a great discography.
It might be a case of like, and I was thinking about this on the way here, like maybe some rappers are listening to the critics too much as opposed to their fans. Like if I'm Benny the Butcher, for instance, and even Benny the Butcher, yeah, I was watching the Needle drop, Anthony Fantano's review of it, and he said that he doesn't step away too much from his lyrical comfort zone. And that's a critical analysis of it, but the streets love that and will always love it.
I disagree with that.
Pardon? Yeah, I disagree with that as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where you got that from, but because obviously he's been very, very introspective on that on the project as well. So where he got that, I don't know. I suppose he prioritized the drug raps over anything else. But maybe it's a case of the rappers listening to the critics too much and trying to do something maybe for the sake of doing it rather than it being their natural inclination. Like someone like Ross, if Ross was tomorrow going to release something anywhere close to Pimp a Butterfly, you might look at him like, "Raw, that's a bit mad," but
I'll turn it off.
you turn it off.
Yeah. Not everyone needs to switch it up, bro. Like, not everyone needs to be a genius.
True.
If someone's in a lane and they're very good at that, for me anyway, I don't knock someone for giving. Like, if Pusha gives me 3 Daytonas and he's rapping about the same stuff, I don't knock him for that. That's his lane. That's what he wants to do. He might not have the mind of a Kendrick and not want to experiment the way Kendrick does. But I say he don't have.
How much of that comes down to our own personal lives and experiences? Because Mo, obviously, without saying too much about your personal life,
Don't do that.
No, but I'm just saying, like, all jokes aside, but you enjoy more of the street-orientated type of content. So an artist giving you just that over great production will be sufficient for you.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, someone like Cam, who probably wears a lot more different hats as far as how they take in music and different types of music, probably needs more than that. So how much of that comes into
I think it's
personal lives and experiences? How we live our lives, how we see the world around us, how does that affect how we receive and judge discographies?
maybe all of it, a lot of it. Like, I would always choose the street shit over like a Childish Gambino, for example. And he knows that about me. Just because of where I grew up and how I grew up. I'm always going to prefer the Jadakiss is in my top 5 just because what Jadakiss raps about is the shit I like. Do you know what I mean? But Jadakiss have been rapping about the same things for 20 years, but I know what I know I'm going to get from Jadakiss. Do you know what I mean? It's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
But I don't think there is, what we're coming down to then, there isn't really a general rule for what is a great discography, because Rock Marciano's discography compared to Kendrick's discography are 2 very different things. And one guy is completely staying in his lane and kind of doing his thing. And I agree, both have merits. Both have merits. But that's when you start thinking, so what? We've talked about rewindability, we've talked about growth if you don't need it or do need it, but also impact. Like one of the things I was thinking was impact, because obviously a great discography has impact, but how long lasting is that impact was one of the things we try to discuss on that series we're doing. Like, how many do these albums, this run or catalogue, spawn babies? Like, are there loads of these babies everywhere now? And if you look at someone's catalogue, like, so for instance, people who don't do much outside of their remit, Mobb Deep do a catalogue which is strictly mob, but it's almost always amazing. They even on every album they kind of brought out at least a bit of heat that, you know, some were more disappointed than others, but Jesus, the run was good. The run was wicked. And then you start thinking the blueprint, that catalogue is them in their lane. Their growth isn't massive, but it's there a little bit. But they're not experimenting that much. And then you think, well, their impact was massive because they then laid a blueprint for almost everything that's happening right now in hip-hop. Like, that is Griselda, and that can be seen in this last decade massively. And that is different. And
on that Rock Marciano and Kendrick argument, they've both got catalogues that have influenced people coming after them, because
babies, that's it.
JIDs and whomever else that come from that Kendrick cloth, and then you've got the whole Griselda movement. And you know, you could argue that Rock Marciano probably borrowed from Mobb Deep. He's from that Mobb Deep family tree as well. But
for sure,
what Marciano has spawned as well is just kind of it's becoming bigger as well with the whole Griselda movement and what they're doing, because then they're going to spawn some kids as well.
So would you say, because again, I'm not schooled up, has Rick Ross's catalogue got that element to it?
No,
definitely not.
Not at all.
Okay, because that is an element I would look at, and only time really tells that story. So obviously I can't say that about West Side Gun or whatever their catalogue. Will it spawn something in 10 years? I don't know. But you would think that run that West's been on is pretty crazy. All of them have had really good runs. But, you know, I can't say that about them yet. So I can't say the impact thing yet for them. But I do feel that Ross has been around long enough for us to judge that. And yeah, that's another thing. Just to put another little spanner to throw in these works while trying to figure out what.
Well, saying that, then that might be a reason why Rick was saying in nobody's top 10s or 5s. Like, they don't influence nobody.
Yeah, but then
with Ross though, the critique is whether his music is believable. You know, because of the controversy around, you know, him being a CO, a lot of people don't believe what he's talking about. So they've kind of just given him like an asterisk. Forget the music for a second. It's also about whether you believe it. Maybe that adds to how we receive the content as well and how we receive the whole catalogue. Because if you've dropped albums about stuff that nobody believes you on, whether it's good or not, we're not going to really include it in the conversations about the best catalogues in rap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true, because you're not going to put that in a Kanye conversation.
You know what I mean?
I would leave that conversation. Like, if someone tried to talk to me and was bringing Ross to a Kanye's, this is what I'm saying, like, about good catalogues. Kanye's catalogue is, it almost hits every one of those things that we've talked about. It's got rewindability. It's got 808s itself is on its own a blueprint for stuff that came after 808s, and everyone hated that. So I hate people like, oh, I love Time. Is it what's the track? Not Timeless. Is it Timeless? No, I can't remember. I'm awful with track names. Heartless. I remember that came out. I was like, this is unreal. And hearing that the first time, there were a lot of people who didn't like it in hip hop, and again, his catalogue has that. Like, he just goes. And Dark Twisted Fantasy, I'm playing that in the car this week.
There's a difference between great and classic. Kanye's got a classic catalogue.
True.
I'm just saying Rick Ross has got a great one. Like, there's a big difference between the two. Like, when we talk about the Kendricks and the Jay-Z's and the Kanye's, they're aliens. Like, their catalogue is classic. Like, they've got classic albums. I'm just saying, to me, Rick Ross has got a great one. Great is just, do you know what I mean? They're comparing their catalogues to the Rosses of the world or whoever. Just because I feel like their ones are special, they're unique. Like, to me, Kendrick's got 3 classic albums. Do you know what I mean? So it's like his catalogue, he's past the word great, if you guys know what I'm trying to say.
I was going to say, just out of interest, just personally, how long did it take you to deem Damn a classic?
I was one of them guys.
I'm so glad you asked that question, because I've got an issue with that word.
No, answer it though.
No, answer it.
I appreciate you, Peter. So Peter, yeah, we've gone back and forth with this. I'll be honest with you. After, I'll say the first year. No, I was quick with it. Maybe 6 months.
I was definitely.
I also gave Good Kid. I said good. As soon as I heard Good Kid, I said, "Yo, this is something special."
Me too.
To be fair, I was quite quick on Good Kid. To be fair,
I was.
We were right though. We were right though.
Yeah, but that year you knew that there was something different. That
year.
But
to pimp. Do you think the Pimp's a classic?
Personally, yeah, I listened to that album the first day it came out. Like, I think it was 10 times in a row. This album, I was like, there is not one word that's missed or anything. And then a year later, I was like, I'm not even visited that much. Just what I'm saying about like the rewindability of something. Yeah,
but I said that Damn was a classic. Peter, was it early with it?
Yeah, I just don't like the word, man. I feel like it's a word that's overused, and I just feel like even us using it so quickly, it kind of contradicts the meaning of the word in itself. Do you know what I'm saying? Because classic is
4 years. We're not saying it now.
Pardon?
It's been what, 4 years?
For me, I need a bit longer.
How long do you need?
I just need a bit longer, man. Like, bro, like even albums like Blueprint. I lived through Blueprint, so I can speak on Blueprint. Illmatic, I was really young in it. So, but with albums like Blueprint, I don't think they were called classics there and then. It came later. You know what I'm saying? That's one that you can look back on and say, all right, cool, yeah. Even if you lived through it, I don't feel like people were calling it a classic there and then.
I think,
and I feel like we struggle to just say an album's fucking amazing or great. It's like we have to take it to that next level just to show how much we love it by putting that C word on it. Do you get what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with that, but you got to be careful though. You got to be careful, man.
But I agree.
Like, there's definitely that element.
You need to allow an album time to just let years pass. Let's just see what it sounds the same.
It's been 4.
You know what it is? You know what it is for me as well? It's because now everyone has a voice. Before then, it was whoever wrote it down in a magazine deemed it a classic. And in the street, or I wasn't in the street, but in the venue at that time, if there's 200 of us heads and we're listening to a Shabam Sadiq album, right? I don't even know if you guys know who that is. But
Peter definitely does.
Right, okay. If I listen to that album, to us, then us saying it's a classic and us playing it over and over again for the next 5 years made that a classic. I'm not saying he has a classic. I'm just saying that's an example, right? Now, before then, not all of us could go on Twitter and call it a classic. All of us had to read it somewhere for it to be deemed that. Now I feel like on Twitter there are certain fans of 6ix9ine or whoever I can't think of as a young rapper, right, that is out now that I'm not a fan of, but in their world they're all talking about this album for the next 5 years. In that world, it's a classic. Unfortunately, those guys have Twitter and social media, and it gets to the point that all of us now have to know this is a classic. And that sometimes is to me where I'm like, in your world, that might be the case. Like, I can't say that about this. And like, Car has got classics. You're talking about Car, and I would say Car has classics, but I don't think my mate who doesn't listen to indie hip hop or underground hip hop is going to agree with me because he has no idea. But just because I'm on Twitter and I said it, apparently it's a classic. So I have to just bring that argument in because I'm from the school of someone writing it in a mag and you being like 5 mics. What the? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the internet has definitely played the biggest factor in that. I feel like the internet has democratized hip hop in the same way it's kind of loosened the meaning of the word classic. I definitely feel what Peter's saying, but I also think in some instances, I mean, only really Kendrick for me, you can make exceptions. Like, Good Kid, Mad City for me was an instant classic. Same thing with To Pimp a Butterfly. Damn, it took me a little bit longer. Maybe it took me like less than a year. But the internet has created these communities that have artists that cater to these communities, and they can identify through themselves, through these artists, and that way, the meaning of the word classic just takes on more meaning. It's the same thing when I hear and I take when people say, you know, something like Kid Cudi saved my life or whatever. Because to them, that's their Rakim, that's their Tupac. You know what I'm saying? So in that sense, the word classic doesn't have the same meaning anymore. Whether it's for the best or for the worst is yet to be known. But it's definitely been equalized by the fact that the internet has been booming and it's created all these communities that then have spawned rappers that then cater to these communities.
Yeah, it's a cycle, isn't it? Yeah.
P had a great point earlier when he goes, I guess it just depends on kind of where you grew up or what you listened to growing up or what you prefer, where you came from. So like with me, I'm good with that street shit. If someone just keep making a street album, obviously not all my rappers, but if certain people continue, like Meek, for example, I know what to expect from a Meek album. Not saying Meek's got a great discography, but to me, it's all right. But I know what I expect from him, do you know what I mean? And I'm all right if he doesn't stray. Like, I'm not complaining. To me, the only time I look, if you're a GOAT to me, that's when I need you to change it up. Do you know what I mean? There's a difference. If you're a GOAT to me, that's when I need you to change up discography for me to say it's great or for me to say it's great or at a certain level, like above great. But if you're the Rosses of the world, the Coles of the world, or whoever, I'm not surprised with what I get. And there's a lane that I like you in already, but I wouldn't put you nowhere near that's why they're not in my top 10, top 15.
So what's your so how do you look at people that aren't in that great category, but they're just getting started? If their first maybe like 2-3 mixtapes are just like street shit, and then you know they're trying to continue to grow, are you going to still hold them with the same standard as a typical street rapper?
Anybody could do that, but then that's when you elevate to GOAT status, innit? Depending on how far you take it and what trajectory you go to. Like Nipsey's a great example. Nipsey came rapping that street shit.
Benny as well.
And then Nipsey started to evolve, like from the Marathon continued to Marathon, Bullets Got No Name on it. He was rapping all street shit. Then he started talking about owning businesses, and then he started getting an ear for beats, and then you see where he was trying to go to. Do you know what I mean? So therefore, I would then hold you in another level to where I hold other rappers.
I think it's tough. I think it's tough to set like a criteria, man.
It's not fair, but
it's tough.
Just thinking about it now, I just feel like a great discography is what is true to the artist. So whether that's whether that's rapping about the same old stuff over and over again or experimenting, if it's the truest representation of that artist, and obviously if it's good, then that's what makes a great discography. Something that you can tell is authentic, rather than what they consistently rap about or what they don't rap about, whether they're rapping on Daft Punk production or they're rapping on the most fired Primo beat, you know what I'm saying? So while it's very still, and from this conversation, it's still quite subjective. I feel like if we're gonna try and objectify it, it is something that represents that artist in its fullest form. And I think someone like Kanye or Outkast, those are like Tribe, those are like some of the best examples of that, I feel like.
And then you have someone like Gangstar, who probably are being true to themselves, but that Gangstar run is incredibly their formula. Do you know what I mean? Like, of course, there's nuance to it, but it's not as wild as ATL. Well, from Cadillac Music to Aquemini, like that's crazy growth, like just wild. And that's what I mean. Like, I back you. As long as you're being true to yourself, I think there's credit in the bank, right? Yeah. Like you can give that person a bit more credit in that catalogue as well.
Who do you guys think have some of the most underrated discographies out here?
I've got a problem with that word, man.
Oh boy. Which one? Underrated?
But you know what? Underrated.
Underrated.
Underrated and classic are becoming like two words that I absolutely despise, because I feel like we throw underrated on a lot of people who we feel should get way more attention. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that just because we feel it doesn't mean that they should get more ratings. I think they're rated exactly where they should be. I was thinking about it today. I was thinking about Redman's discography. And obviously Redman's revered. In most circles, he's considered to be a legend. His first 3 albums are absolutely flawless to me. But if we look at, I don't feel like his discography is spoken about enough. The reason why I think that is because of the albums that came after the first 3. So with that argument, I'm not going to say he's underrated. I feel like he's rated exactly where he should be. He's a legend. He can spit. His first 3 albums, you could argue, are classics. The catalogue as a whole is a good catalogue. The reason it's probably not propelled to another level is because he gave us maybe like 3 albums after that just were a bit meh. And it's similar to, and it's like the Ice Cube argument as well. So I don't know. The underrated thing is a bit weird for me.
I just meant discographies that you feel aren't spoken about enough.
I think it's subjective, isn't it? Like one that you think deserves more shine. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. And I feel what Peter's saying. But do you not think that even if Redman has like his first 3 albums are great, like flawless and stuff, everything that's going on around it can drown out the impact or drown out how people see it. So I think that's something to consider as well. Like if you've dropped Muddy Waters the same year that the score has come out and it was written and Reasonable Doubt and Illuminati and stuff, it's gonna drown it out. You know what I'm saying? So it might not necessarily have been as popular or as impactful as it maybe could have been. So while I get what you're saying, there are extenuating circumstances, I feel like, with some discographies anyway.
That shifts through time though, Yemi, I think that shifts through time. Like Redman is a different type of rated now maybe than he was back then. And also, I think perfect example of that is De La Soul's Balloon Mind State. That's another one that we featured. That's probably my favourite De La Soul album. And I came to it way late. And you think now it's getting love. Now, there's like a Pitchfork article on it I saw. There's like people talking about it on Twitter, if that's a barometer at all. That it's getting more shine than it did back then. And it's interesting because that's changed. People now have had time. It came out in a real gangster rap time. It's really jazz influenced. And you realise, it's probably just got drowned out, like Yemi said. Probably got drowned out by the gangster hype, the gangster rap hype, the G-Funk. And people weren't there for the jazz. There were jazz heads. Obviously, De La Soul fans were loving it. But now I feel like more people are accessed that would like it more because you don't have the chronic kind of shadow all over it. Do you know what I mean? Underrated is a very term we've got to be careful with. I like to say just put some shine on it. We call it hidden gems because I couldn't think of another catchy way to put it. And I was like, just hidden gem. In your opinion, what is a hidden gem? Because mate, we tried slept on Wu-Tang bangers, slept on Primo bangers, and I basically got decimated on Twitter because that's not slept on. That's not slept on. No, you're talking about that's not slept on. And what I thought was I'm just going to vote it, and it turns out a lot of our followers, if the people who were vocal on Twitter saw their votes, they would be like, hold on a minute, like this is So Ghetto is slept on apparently or underrated. I don't think as a Primo banger, and I was like, So Ghetto is not slept. Everyone knows what So Ghetto is, but according to votes and whatever, yeah, it should be on that playlist. I
think it depends who you talk to, man, because I think Primo's best beats, I think it is slept on.
There you go. See what I mean about being subjective? Yeah. Same as underrated. It's so objective.
I feel like Busta Rhymes' catalogue is, and I want to pick my words carefully in it. I don't want to use the word underrated.
Underappreciated?
I would like more shine on it. For some reason, I've heard people say that they don't think he's got any classics, and that's quite surprising to me because I thought the Coming was a flawless album. I don't know if I'm going to call it a classic, but it was a flawless album for me. So I feel like his catalogue is maybe
First three albums
it's a bit disrespected to me
His
because he's
first
got
three
no after the Big Bang, which he
Mm.
did on Aftermath. I don't know if he's got any before that. I don't think he's got any like whack albums. I think he's got really good albums.
Genesis has got some bangers on it, actually.
really?
Genesis was one that. Yeah. Boston's a great shout, man. I think The Coming is probably a classic because it's just definitively him. He's all about being true to the person.
Exactly.
That was another world. You were going into his world.
Even like when
like
the Master Strikes, I love that. You know, Extinction Level, I thought was a banging album as well. So, all right, if I'm going to use a word, maybe I would use underrated. Fuck it.
Are you using it?
I'm going to use the word. Fuck
Oh
it.
my goodness.
Full circle. Full circle. I would argue Slum Village. I don't know. I'd like more shine on their catalog. Because outside of like the hip hop heads, basically, because obviously they came up and they were already given this unofficial mantle of being like the spiritual successors of Tribe, and even they've said that kind of messed them up in a way because don't compare us to those guys. That we're doing something completely different. So I feel like whether they've been able to shrug off that tag is subjective. I think they have, but generally I feel like just all the Fantastics, like everything after Dilla, I want to see more shine on it. I don't know if it gets the appreciation it maybe deserves.
That sinks into mind quite nicely because I was thinking of that Detroit sound was a defining era in my listening from so like after Blueprint and then as a 90s head I got a little bit disenfranchised with the whole hip hop thing. Like the albums that were coming out weren't really of my taste. I've gone back since and I wasn't a massive fan of Kanye when he first came out. I thought they were bangers. I thought it was interesting. I just hadn't tuned my ear to how good that was. Like I would always put his latest stuff ahead of his early stuff, and I'm quite rare in my friends. My friends more prefer his early stuff. But I was like, hey, I love Yeezus, so I don't know whether
I'm with you, bro.
I really enjoy Yeezus, but I was thinking Black Milk's like catalog for me is man, shine. Even if you're just giving him shine for the fact that he can rhyme as good as most MCs, and his beats are just typically him. And I feel like there's that run he was on when he first started all the way up to Tronic, and even after that, I would put Black Milk in there for definitely more shine / maybe underrated.
Yeah, man, that's a great shout, man. That's a great shout. I still listen to what's that one? Was it Fever?
Oh yeah, great album.
Fever's fire, man.
His projects are solid. They take a bit. I don't know. They're not the same now. Like like we said earlier, he's trying to grow and use bands, and he's not nailing the landing all the time. But I don't care, man. The guy did sound the alarm. Like that for me is, as a kid, just like wow. So I'll always be there, and I always see him live, and he seems like a good bloke as well. I always think if they seem pretty decent at live shows and chill afterwards and whatever, that I don't know, always adds something to their music for me. Like Pharoah Monch has always been like that. Like, every time you see him live, he's signing people's kicks. He's like, you know what I mean? You feel like I'm going to give Desire another spin now because of that, and I'm just a nice person.
For sure. What about you, Mohammed? I see you stroking your beard.
Because you might not name rapidy rappers.
Oh, here we go.
No, not like that. Like you might. I was gonna say Common, but I'm gonna take that back. But you might not name it because it depends on what we talk about. If we're talking what hip hop fans know, that's one thing. But if we're just talking on a global scale, do you know what I'm saying? Because on a global scale, do I feel like Common gets his ratings now? To hip hop fans, we know what he's about. So I wouldn't say underrated. I'll just say underappreciated. It's not one of the same things. Do you know what I mean? But personally, and I'm gonna say this because I don't think. Yemi, have you ever listened to a Styles P album?
No.
Okay, cool. Styles P.
Okay.
And I feel like the reason being is because I feel like everyone puts him in the box and thinks they know exactly what he's about. Yeah, P, have you listened to Styles P?
I love Styles P. Styles P's got a better catalogue than Jadakiss.
And I'm not going to deny that. And Jadakiss is in my top 5. Do I agree with you? No. But am I going to argue with you? No. But with Styles P, for some reason, hip hop nerds or hip hop fans kind of turn a blind eye to him. Like, don't really listen to him, don't really give him the time of day, and I don't know why. If Styles P's got a ridiculous catalogue, like ridiculous.
I think it's to do with his beats. I think his beats.
Yeah.
I think he gets beats from like
Oh boy.
part-time barbers, part-time producers.
Don't do that to Styles.
Got the decks here.
So like his beats they're very hard, very street, but there's not always a lot of musicality to it. Whether his rhyming is hard or not, his beats can sometimes come across a bit
amateurish,
a bit dull. Some I think to people that aren't fans of his, for me, I love it, so I'm cool with it. But for someone that isn't into Styles, I think maybe the later projects, especially, that's how they would feel.
Yeah, I feel you, but that would be me anyway. I would say Styles P. I feel like it's criminally underrated. Like, I don't know why he doesn't get spoken about enough. If you guys listen to, give him 2-3 projects, you understand why Styles P is Styles P. Like, even if you hear him rap on the Lox's albums, and I feel like Kiss is the better rapper, it's very rare that Kiss outshines Styles P to me. Like, it's very rare. Like, Styles P's got a unique voice, a unique rapping tone, the way he raps, everything's unique about him. And to me, anyway, that's who I would say, yeah, me. That's my vote right there.
Great shout.
I was going to say something controversial. Maybe not controversial, but I was going to say like maybe Styles doesn't get as much. I mean, I don't know, but I was just thinking maybe do you reckon he's maybe in Jadakish's shadow a little bit?
I don't think so. I generally believe they're in their own lanes. I feel like they all, like, Sheik is happy to be part of the Lox, and that's it. Like, don't do that, Yemi. Peter, I'm saying with Sheik, he's happy to be part of the Lox, and that's it. Like, you are the Lox, you are part of the Lox, you're the anchor, you are Patrick Vieira, and then you keep it pushing. Then you've got Styles, and you've got Jadakiss, Dennis Bergkamp, and Thierry Henry. They both know their names, and I feel like they're both comfortable. Does Kiss have the bigger name globally? Yeah, but I feel like if you go to the streets, more people prefer Styles P. I feel like in the streets, more people fuck with Styles P than Jadakiss.
Nah.
You don't think so?
Nah,
bro, people fuck with Styles P, you know.
No, I'm not disputing that. I feel like the people that like are criminal life, come out straight out of jail, they love Styles, innit? Because Styles P he spent some time in prison.
Yeah.
So he identifies with a lot of that, and he puts a lot of that in his bars, and there's soul to it as well.
Yeah.
But people love Jadakiss more.
No, I'm not saying they don't. I just feel like the streets. Don't get me wrong. It's 1A and it's 1 and 1A. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not like they don't. I'm just saying, to me, I feel like the streets fuck with Styles kinda.
People that feel part of that lifestyle will love Styles P way more.
But like,
what?
Yeah, me go listen to Styles P. Just one.
I don't think Styles is underrated. I feel like he's rated exactly where he should be rated.
But then again, it gets to where we're talking about your definition to underrated might be. Because do I feel like his fans appreciate him? Yeah. Do I feel like the people that he needs to resonate with, he resonates with? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like
I do think that's subjective. What Peter's saying. Very, very subjective.
I don't know if it is, bro. I think maybe to a degree, but also we're gonna feel like that with any rapper. We're gonna feel like there are so many rappers out there that we feel like, yeah, they should probably have more ears. We just can't avoid that.
Yeah, for sure.
Does that make them underrated? I don't know.
Underappreciated, I said though.
Because I would want people to go back and listen to Jay-Z's Volume 1. But I'm not going to dare say he's underrated, but there's always going to be albums and artist catalogues and just rappers as a whole that we would feel like, yo, this deserves way more ears. But I don't know.
At the same time, though, we're not going to compare Jay-Z to Styles P.
No, of course not. I'm just making a point.
No, just in terms of like stature as well, because obviously Jay-Z's going to have like a lot of what people might consider hidden gems in his catalog, like Volume 1 or whatever. Whereas no one's going to look at Styles P the same way. Well, not no one, but less people are going to look at Styles P in the same way. So there are certain artists that even if we are fans of them, we're just in their bubble. Maybe Styles P is that, but we're in that bubble of fans that probably feel like to the outside world, they're not seen as anything as much. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably where this is underrated or this is a hidden gem comes into it.
How important is accessibility?
The discography?
It's not.
Not to me.
I don't think you need to reach for it. I think if it's there, it's there. I think if you reach for it, you risk it. It's a risk.
Yeah.
But then if an album's not necessarily accessible, that's when words like underrated become they start being thrown around. And when I mean accessible, I don't mean like bubblegum. I just mean easier to listen to, because Good Kid, Mad City is probably easier to listen to than To Pimp a Butterfly. So you could argue it's more accessible without being too actually, no, it is way more commercial than To Pimp. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I feel like with accessibility, it probably depends on who the artist is. It depends on what you like as well. I don't necessarily need my albums to be accessible. If the musicality is great, then I'm good.
Yeah.
But to some people, accessibility will matter. It just depends on how they take it in the music. Like if there are people who take in more of the lyrical miracle stuff, and that's never going to be as accessible as the more mainstream stuff, then it just depends on the type of fan that you are. Some people can put on several hats. Some people can't.
Yeah.
Someone like a Blue. The rapper.
I have Blue and Exile down as one of mine as well. Like,
they've done amazing things for the underground.
And still are.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think their music's accessible, but that's okay. Yeah. But then I would say that their catalogue is probably underappreciated.
I would say that. I think Blue and Exile's, again, can you call Above the Clouds like, is it Above the Clouds, Above the Heavens? As you can tell, I'm awful with this names.
Below the
Heavens. Yeah, that's it. Below the Heavens. That's it. Like that, people call that a classic now, and it's like, okay, but I could probably see this new one they've come out with. I can see that being like in 10 years, people go, this is the track like album from 2020. It's got that 2020 energy and blah blah. And it's like, yeah, that could be there. So I'm there with you with Blue Man. What can I ask? What I was going to put in Freddie Gibbs, because I do love Freddie Gibbs' latest run. I don't think it's slept on though. I feel like people fully know what Gibbs is about, but I suppose it comes down to I wish more people I know were checking out like Freddie or like oh man, what's that? What's the album? Is it You Only Live Twice? The one where he's in there, it's like the artwork's like he's in heaven. Man, that is a wicked project, and yeah, I just no one in my vicinity really talks about them albums, and I listen to Freddie a lot, and not gonna lie, Madlib's on my top 10 all time, so Pinata and all that stuff, man. You know, I'm there for that. So I think Freddie's
raps better with Madlib than Doom.
Wait, say
No. Doom is in my five for a reason. I'll fight in that corner, man. Like,
sorry, Cam. I'm sorry you even had to answer that ridiculous question. That is such a ridiculous question. But carry on. I'm just asking the question, yeah, but
his face when you ask that question, Pete, it just looks so disgusting.
Such a ridiculous question.
I'm just asking.
Hey man, I'm appalled.
I though. He works on that production like in a different way, but really well. Like he sits on their Madlib tracks brilliantly. When he switches, their beat switches up and his flow switches up, and man, it's brilliant. But just listen to Mad Villainy, and you're never gonna. That's up there as timeless for me. Yeah, that was called Classic Early. I remember that. Yeah, but rightly so, I feel.
So basically, there is no criteria for a great discography.
No.
That's
it's just personal.
Anytime Peter gets a chance to say just make great music, he'll take it.
Pete, can't wait for
and that in itself is subjective, but we move. Moving swiftly on to the final topic, which is the fun one. We're basically just going to pick one album each by an artist that would easily slot into another's catalogue, essentially. I've got a couple, to be honest. But, gentlemen, who would like to go first?
I struggled with this, so you lot can go first.
All right, yeah, I've got quite a few.
Oh, boy.
So
you can tell he came up with the topic.
The first album, yeah.
Oh, boy.
You know what? Let me just say it, and then I will explain afterwards. I chose Andre 3000's Love Below. And I felt like that album could slot into Prince's discography.
You're doing outsider rap too.
That's the only one that I chose. The only one that I chose.
Pete, never changed, bruv.
Yeah, no, bro, because I had to, in preparation for this topic, man, I went back to it.
I'll take your word for it, though. Does it slot in easily?
it's hard to position it just because of the rapping and the type of beat he's choosing in it. Prince, he wasn't really a hip hop guy like that. He didn't like hip hop. Do you know what I'm saying? So
For real.
yeah, but on the more singing tracks, you can hear the Prince influence, which is why I felt you could throw it in there. Like songs like Prototype, She Lives in My Lap. It gave me that Prince feel. So it kind of made me feel like those were unofficial Prince songs, which is why I might have thrown it in there.
Damn.
Yeah, so that was the first thing that came to my mind.
I need to listen to Love Blow again now. You've made me want to listen to that again now. I need to check that out again.
What you think? Yeah, let me know.
Yeah, because I don't know. Yeah, maybe actually.
I can see it.
Yeah, I would say
definitely
like Blonde could fit into a Prince.
Yeah.
But that's a bit different. I had one which was a bit more like straight edge, which was imagine just for a minute we lived in the world where it went Illmatic, Ready to Die, and it was written. Like, just imagine Biggie's was second. That would possibly be the best 3-album run of all time. Like, and I feel like Ready to Die fits into what It Was Written was trying to do, which was more mafia and more like all that, but harder. And I don't know, man. I think there's a bit of influence in there. There's a bit of influence in there for me. I was thinking, no?
I don't know. I feel like with the whole mafia thing with Biggie, I felt like that was coming more on Life After Death, not so much Ready to Die. So
true.
If you would have said maybe it was written either before Life After
or after, before, that would be the one. Yeah.
I can see it.
Yeah, no, that is the one. No, you've nailed it.
Yeah,
no, if you, oh my, yeah, Can we just put Ready to Die in there anyway? Just
yeah, why not?
Just wait, man. It's fun, isn't it? It's fun.
Now I just want to hear Nas on Sky's the Limit now.
Oh man!
But that's what I'm saying. Oh, yeah.
That would be lit.
I think that would sound awkward though, man.
No, Sky's the Limit. That beat.
I think he can find the pocket. I think he can find the pocket.
Hypnotize is wrong for him. But I'll give him Sky's the Limit though.
So what sort of bars do you think Nas will spit on Sky's the Limit? I can't hear it, man.
No, he can definitely tell a story.
Yeah, he tells.
I can't hear him saying like freedom of jail clips and certain.
No. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that.
I see it yet, PR.
I can't hear it, man.
We're not talking about that. Sky's the Limit is a rags to riches story. Nas can do that. What's wrong with this guy?
No, I love Nas.
Shut up. But yeah, he can definitely do that. He can definitely do. If anything, something similar to like One Love Nas would fit perfectly on Sky's the Limit.
Good shout. Yeah.
Just telling a story in that. But my one, and it's funny you mentioned like Blue and Exile, Below the Heavens, because I would fit that into J. Cole's discography. I think it fits perfectly. I think Dancing in the Rain, was it Dancing in the Rain or Singing in the Rain? I can hear Cole all over that. I can hear Cole over the production. I can hear him talking about similar stuff. Like, not to say that Cole and Blue sound the same, but you know, they're of that ilk. So I can definitely see that like fitting into J. Cole's discography. If that was the first album, then maybe we wouldn't give Cole as much of a bad rap.
I was going to say, is that before Forest Hills? You're saying that's
for sure. Yeah. This is like, I'm going to say, this is his first album. If it was his first album coming off Friday Night Lights, then yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh, for Friday Night Lights, yeah.
That would have been a problem. The conversations surrounding J. Cole would be so much different if that would have happened.
Yeah, he needs to EP the tape.
Hey, man, listen.
Hey, man.
A&R's in this.
I'm
saying, man. But yeah, man, I think perfect. It'll be perfect for him. Maybe it would put him further underground than what he would become, but at least for the day ones, it'll be like a much more like euphoric feeling than Sideline Story.
Yeah.
Great shout.
I feel like Ghostface Supreme Clientele could fit in casually in Doom's catalogue anywhere. Whether it was after Mad Villain, before, whether it was after Operation Doomsday. Actually, after Operation Doomsday, I'd throw it in there. I think they have similar aesthetics, man, just sonically. Which would have made sense as to why they were going to do the album together. But yeah, that would have fit beautifully in Doom's catalogue for me.
Before Mad Villainy. I think it'd have to be before Mad Villainy.
I think so too.
Yeah, for sure.
this came to my head now. And I probably don't want to talk about J. Cole, but this just came to my head now. P, this is more towards you because I know you're a massive fan of his.
Go on.
Now, tell me, I might be bugging, but you know, have you heard 2014 Forest Hills Drives?
Yeah.
So you know when Fab came out with Street Dreams and Real Talk?
Yeah.
If you put it in between that, does it work?
No.
You don't think so?
Uh-uh.
Why not?
Because Street Dreams was a lot of poor production. It was early 2000s.
I might say so was 2014.
The soundscape in rap was crazy then for like mainstream rap. And just throwing like any J. Cole project in the midst of a Fab catalogue just doesn't mesh.
I got another one.
Here we go.
I think Childish Gambino's Because the Internet would fit perfectly in a post-Igor Tyler Creator discography.
Yeah.
I think it would fit easily after Igor, to be
Yeah.
honest. Because after Igor, he can pretty much go anywhere. And that album, like Because the Internet, like it's got Tyler written all over it, man.
I can hear that. Yeah,
Sure.
Is that a run you're listening to still? Tyler's run.
100%.
Yeah.
You still listen to Foul Boy, you're still listening to Igor, you still listening to all that.
Flower Boy is my favorite Tyler album.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. I think before that, I think that's Tyler to a T. Flower Boy. He had fully realized his sound. He was rapping like crazy. It just fits perfectly, man.
That's big, man. That's wanted to hear. That's wanted to know.
Yeah, man, for sure.
You're a Tyler fan?
Yeah. Well, I'm more Goblin. I liked Goblin. I like Sandwiches, Odd Future. I'm more Earl than Tyler, I would say. But then again, actually, am I now? I don't know. I think I'll probably back both. But I love Earl. Like, I think Earl's projects. And that's a run, actually. That's a catalogue.
Yeah.
I think that is actually pretty decent sound, a catalogue,
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, Earl's album, I don't like shit. I don't go outside. Yo, that's my mantra.
I spoke to him on a spiritual level.
Bitch, that's how I feel.
Say that again.
I don't like shit and I don't go outside.
That is you, bro. That is Pete to a T.
That's why his weekly roundups are always the same.
Bro, that is Pete to a T. I don't like shit and I don't go out. If anything has ever summed up Peter, unless it's the madam, I don't like shit and I don't go out.
Big up Earl, man.
And make good music.
Yeah, man. He nailed it for you, man. Nailed it.
Yeah, I've got a couple more. I feel like Tribes, Beats, Rhymes and Life would fit perfectly in Slum Village's catalogue after Fantastic Volume 2.
That's sharp.
I was thinking about the Love Movement, but that sounds too final for it to be a Slum album. I felt like with Slum's catalogue, after every album, I still felt like something was coming up with Tribe. Maybe because of all the talk around the group when that album dropped as well. It feels very final, which is why I didn't choose that. But in revisiting Beats, Rhymes and Life, I was like, yeah.
It's that Dilla thing as well.
Dilla, helps with production as well, so that probably fits.
The hop as a slum track would just be unreal. Yeah. That someone needs to get that instrumental and slum lyrics. Put that. Someone is listening. Please do that. It's interesting. It's interesting you said Beats, Rhymes and Life because I was going to have, if you went Midnight Marauders, Low End Theory, and then if you put in De La Soul Stakes is High rather than Beats, Rhymes and Life, I think that is then a perfect 4 album run. I would say that is probably what I had was Stakes is High because again it's that Dilla thing. Stakes is High and sort of that dark energy. And if Tribe ended it dark like that, well they didn't end it, did they? They went to the Love Movement, but do you know what I mean? Like at that time, it felt like it'd been so long since Tribe had dropped anything. So yeah,
that'd be crazy, man.
Yeah, I feel like also Drake So Far Gone definitely could have been 808s and Heartbreaks Volume 2.
Feel you. Yeah.
That's the vibe that I got from that.
I was gonna say Cuddy. You could put a Cuddy album in there after 808s as well. Yeah, because they're the same spirit. Those things, I feel.
Although I've never understood the Cuddy appeal. I just don't get it.
I've never listened to Cuddy like that.
He talks for the depressed loners of the world.
Yeah, a lot of my fam, a lot of my mates are well into it, man, and they're kind of depressed loaders. I'm joking. They're not. But like it's that vibe. And sorry to use that, but it is. It's not about. It's just about the feeling I feel, and I've been there at house parties where they're playing Cuddy, and it's like, yeah, actually, I'm getting it now. And that was the atmosphere. It wasn't in my headphones like at home. I wasn't getting it. It's more in with people who liked it. I could get it now, and now I listen to his music and I feel that. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And I got one more. Considering like, sorry, I'm just gonna say it straight. So I feel like Common's Like Water for Chocolate. If it was a Roots album, I feel how the Roots' catalogue is talked about and received is completely different. With that album particularly, Like Water for Chocolate, it was made in that era of the Soulquarian. They were all, together in studio. So like Common was in like Studio A recording that. D'Angelo was in Studio B creating Voodoo. And then like Erica was creating Mama's Gun as well. And then the Roots were in that studio as well doing Things Fall Apart. So if like Quest or whomever else was at the helm of Like Water for Chocolate wasn't so giving and just was giving them all these like fire beats and that and kept it for the Roots, I think it would have been sick. But yeah, that's just me.
I can see it, man.
I think that's probably one of the most seamless ones we've set so far. Because I'm trying to think of that energy on that. I'm trying to think where you'd fit it in Roots. That's what I'm saying. I don't know, tipping point, or is it Phrenology? I would think it's probably before Phrenology and after Things Fall Apart.
Phrenology. I would scrap Phrenology, scrap Tipping Point, maybe take 3 songs off Tipping Point.
Definitely scrap Phrenology.
Yeah.
Yeah? Take that out and then putting that in there?
Yeah.
Okay. There's
If
bars on.
you throw that in after Things Fall Apart, man. Yeah,
that's yeah. Oh, after Things Fall Apart. That's the one. And it would work perfectly with that energy as well. I think that, yeah, nailed it. Yeah,
man.
That'd be mad. All right. Well, I guess the main thing I've learned from this episode is to each his own. And subjectivity is key.
That's what makes hip hop, bro.
That's it.
Clearly,
absolutely.
Man. Clearly.
Your opinion, my opinion, Cam's opinion, Peter's opinion.
Big facts.
It's all different.
Big facts, man. All right, man. We're gonna wrap up now. So, Cam, thank you so much for coming in to join us. We very much appreciate it. You're more than welcome anytime to come and just chop up and shoot the shit, man. You're a friend to the pod, and long may that continue, man. So, thank you.
I really appreciate you guys, man. I really appreciate you guys. I think what you're doing is great. It's just an honor to come on, man. Really, just chat to other people. I love collabing. I love like listening to other people's points of views, and we had a few in this session, man. It honestly makes me feel differently. So I might be able to check that out again. So yeah, I'll be the biggest Rick Ross fan now in a month.
Hey,
man, come on.
For the people, brother.
If you listen, let us know what you think because I'm curious.
Yeah,
generally, if you wanna, it ain't gonna be last time we hear from you. And
what's the first Rick Ross project he should listen to?
Teflon Don.
Yeah. Teflon Don. That's the one I keep. I remember that being big. That was a big one, wasn't it?
Yeah, trust me.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
I genuinely want to hear your feedback once you listen.
Yeah, man. I'll hit you up on Twitter or something, innit? Because I think that's quite nice. We get to link on there. And so we'll keep it moving, man. Definitely, we'll keep it moving. Man, hopefully we get to get you guys on the pod as well. Bring an album. We can chat.
Yeah, man.
Just get this series done. Get some interviews. I'll tell you off air which one we got next. I think you're going to like the next one. Yeah, man. We've got to do something. Basically, it's on the cards. On the cards.
100%, man. 100%, man. It definitely continues from here, man. And we're obviously big fans of yours as well. So just keep up the good work, man. And all the other podcasts out there, keep up the good work as well, man.
Yeah, smashing it, man.
For sure, man. But yeah, Peter, Mo, anything else to share?
I'm good, man. Salute to Craig. Salute to you, bro.
Yeah, man.
Let's just keep this rolling, innit, man?
I feel that.
I remember when in doubt, what would Thierry do? That's a great way to end this podcast.
No, it's not.
There.
No, that is a great way to. What would Thierry do? Is the.
Bro, do you think? First of all, do you even know who Thierry is?
Don't ever do that in your life.
A lot of people might not even know who he is.
Yeah, me. I'm gonna see you later, Pete. My guy.
One listener might have a relative called Thierry, and he's probably thinking, "Why is Mo telling me my cousin would do?"
On reason why I point at that relative.
All right then. Fine. Well, on that note, we're going to sign off. Bro, on that bombshell, he's full of them. But yeah, on that, we're going to wrap up. So thank you to everybody for listening. And thank you for joining us. Thank you once again to Cam for joining us as well. If you want to hit us up, we're on the socials at Ramsdams Pod. And yeah, we'll be back 2 weeks' time as well to do it over again. So until then, take care. And peace.
Safe.
Peace.